Greetings. My name is Michael Miller. This is a Michael Miller trademark training video out to you because you're watching. Thank you and welcome. It's meant for Michael Miller Pilates licensed affiliates, licensed presenters, the Core New Core, and anyone interested in surviving and thriving as a Pilates instructor or a human being. So, Christy and Ellen, I still have you in my mind as recent viewers of my YouTube broadcast. And unlike Facebook, I can't see who watches, and long ago gave up looking at analytics, meaning if it's been viewed and how many times. Because I'm just doing my best job to go over the notes that I've made recently during my intermediate reformer workout. And above my three notes is the single word of three letters that is AIM. A-I-M. AIM. AIM. So, in my three titles, the first title is, It is Your Choice How You Inhabit Your Body. The second title is, Kentucky Fried Pilates. And the third title is, Joe Didn't Leave Much. And so there it was, a presentation of what's going by with more depth, at this depth, with the promise of more depth to follow. A chair that Mom gave me is off camera here, and it has a pillow in it that my mom needle pointed, and it's sort of the first time there hasn't been clothes on it or something, but as such it's as though she is joining my projection of you listening, Ellen, and Christy too, maybe, we'll see, don't know, and whomever. My first title, you've already heard once, is that it is your choice how you inhabit your body. And by that I mean how you move, how you make movements, and how you engage yourself to move. And it doesn't matter how old you are, and it doesn't matter at all if you can't do any of the original Pilates exercises. What matters is how you inhabit your body, and for me to you, your awareness of the theories of CT and MMP and how they enable you to inhabit your body better. In core new tension, we're just talking posture. We're talking about the way the body is seeking to engage itself to move through space. I think once open-minded people are introduced to the imagination of oppositional rotation between axes, which I have defined as core new tension. I know, it's just my thing, it's my little window, but I'm coming up on, I'm 3 days away, I think, from 4 years complete. and I'm not sure what will come after that, but the 4 days coming up seem within reach. So I'm using that to guide what I say in my broadcast. So number 2 is Kentucky Fried Pilates. With all that goes by, we talked yesterday about shoulder bridge and loads just going up and down instead of creating tension between points and ironing your spine within the tension that you create from core new tension. Knowing how to make that in your body. But today, on my news feed on my phone is an article about something, 7 exercises of Pilates for 7 specific pieces of your body. Pieces and parts. Kentucky Fried Pilates. And so that takes me to this, which is my dictionary, one of them, but the main one for a long time. English Dictionary of Words and Definitions. And treating Pilates like Kentucky Fried Pilates is like pretending that Pilates is only exercises that are used to specific issues in the body, pieces and parts. When the whole essence of Pilates is that it develops the body uniformly, according to what Joe wrote in his book. So my hope for you is that you absorb from me a point of view, and the more clearly I can help you weigh that point of view from all the things that are out there and all the ways of Pilates being cast out in the culture, it's not about just knowing Pilates exercises and what issues. We've talked about this a couple of times ago, maybe a few. It's you don't take what you know, all of who you are as a God-given creature, and take that to the individual's issues. To me, that's a therapist, because it's the issues that define your context. Whereas in taking any individual to Pilates, the context is Pilates, and the individual gains the benefits of pursuing uniform development. Uniformly develops. Contrology develops the body uniformly. That's how it happens. It's the means. And so, however, okay. So now, my claim to fame, Ellen and Christy and whomever, is holding light to the presence of core new tension in the body. And that biomechanically, to me, the light that I see is just it's a fact of the biomechanics of the body, and it's the way, it's what the body is reaching into in the capacity that it has in that oppositional rotation to distribute its load, to make the body as light as possible by uniformly engaging itself in the effort. And all of that is a response to being in gravity, which is a uniform field. It's the same everywhere. But here we are made of water, trying to swim like a fish through an ocean of air. We're just trying to walk on the bottom of the ocean of air because we're so heavy. So to me, my claim to fame is recognizing core new tension, giving it a name, and making it comprehensible enough to others that they can engage themselves in the same way and have it be obvious based on the form that their body is in. Like 3 points on a line, and more specifically 3 points on a smooth curve. All headed toward and aspiring to the shape of a catenary. And so, Ellen, what do you know? What shape do you know about that's near where you live in the shape of a catenary? Where is it? I can do it, I guess, here. When you have a chain link, when you have a chain and you just suspend it from 2 different ends, the shape that the chain takes, defined by the gravity that you're in, is called a catenary. And the reason the St. Louis Arch is in the shape of an inverted catenary, because that's the most efficient shape to bear the load of the structure. Rewind that. That's good. And so flip the catenary over so it's like this. And when you think of doing a teaser, now part of me is 3 points on a straight line with hips, shoulders, and ears in teaser. But if not that, then hips, shoulders, and ears on the same curve as a catenary. The 3 of them line up on somewhere on that curve because it's the most efficient way that the structure can bear the load that it's under. Like your body. In my opinion, meaning Michael Miller, core new tension, from that point of view, your head has a place to be, and your legs have a way to be engaged to achieve the optimum of the target, which is to develop the body uniformly, as is in Joe's book. Alright, so I feel like I'm a very deep submarine going really fast, and yet hoping to weave some meaning out of that. Number 3, that Joe didn't leave much. Okay, so in a way, right, he didn't leave much. And some people sell this book without the text in the front. Why muddy the issue? Why make of it any more than you'd rather just make anything of? You'd rather make it up than not have to even consider the words that went in the book. So, as self-serving as that may be, the reason human nature just is what it is. And when there is something so substantial, that escapes control of a corporate enterprise, you end up with other modalities that say, no, no, we never heard of that. My point is that Joe didn't leave much, but he left enough. Just in that book. Just in his book. The point of Michael Miller Pilates as a brand is that you can get to an explanation, a serious understanding of a point of view that explains Pilates as an experience, explains what it takes for a human being to reach for that experience, and choreography that's easily perceived as such, meaning as choreography. It's just not exercises. See, it's just not exercises in the book. And it's just not about you picking which exercise for that individual. It's not about the customized delivery, if we're talking about Pilates, as much as the aspiration towards what Pilates gives you. And it's not about using, see, it's about reaching for uniform. So, Joe didn't leave much. So, for me, to you, Ellen and Christy and whomever else, everybody else out there, within Michael Miller Pilates, the point of view is that Pilates is the pursuit of an experience while you're ideally moving, both in terms of ideally performing a particular movement, whatever that is, and being connected sensorially, with your sensors, that you're listening to, you're observing, as feedback to how you're moving. So much of, and we all know this, of learning to do Pilates is then, I don't know, and is that the doing of Pilates, to whatever extent you pursue it, and to whatever extent I think it resonates with what's in Joe's book, the results speak for themselves. And yet there's this whole spectrum in the culture of Pilates and if you now see, I have to give this post credit that I don't mean to be totally dismissive, because as much as the whole article was structured as this is a great exercise for this and this is a great exercise for that, right? Pieces and parts, Kentucky Fried. At the end was a 15-minute workout session that if I could go back and find the article I might look at to see if it any way resembled the sequence in this. You know, the third thing that you want to know if you're in a meeting or a group and discussing ideal points of view, discussing theories. This is where I think you make an offer. And you say, well, I can explain that theory for $100 in less than an hour. Offer's good for 2 hours. Good till tomorrow. it expires. So that's the expiration. So making an offer. You know, you may not need the money, and yet many in the culture of Pilates, especially living as instructors, full of all the passion and so meager in an income stream, and even those who have enjoyed an income stream, who now are totally challenged by it. I'm saying you can make an offer to explain a couple theories that you'll know more about than the people interested enough to pay for it. Which comes back to the carousel, and that I stand with you watching a carousel go by. And that's the subject of Pilates, and what there is to point out about it in your pursuit to have more fun in the exploration of it. Pilates. Okay. Appropriate enough. So my concluding remark is enough for you to point out the carousel. So in terms of what did Joe leave? To me, he left it, to Michael Miller Pilates, he left enough in his book to get to an experience. By his definition, his statement of how it's done, and his statement of what you do. Now you may never do or be able to do any of the original stuff, either because you've lost the capability or you'll never have the capability. But understanding the composition and the target to what you're after is to move as easily as you wish at your own will, and if you can manage flying, go right ahead, but the rest of humanity, me included, haven't mastered tension and vibration to the point where we can totally lift a load of water and carry it through air on a planet this size. In any discussion of Pilates, for me, when I'm the one trying to explain it to a group, it's easy to get lost or disoriented or forget where you were going, for me especially. But always coming back to Joseph Pilates as the beginning, and what any person that ever met him that I had any kind of ability to listen to who got serious about talking about Joe would use the word survivor. Joseph Pilates was a survivor. And it's like you would have to know the times in which we're talking about to perhaps appreciate the adjective being applied. And that's for history buffs and those who seek more depth in the individual, the messenger, rather than the message. All right, so my notes go, from Joe, when you get lost, if you go to Joe, and Joe is the survivor, and that his method is survival training, that opens up the whole part of gravity, and that because of gravity, it forces you into knowing your target. What are you trying to do? Well, you're trying to be lighter in space by being more uniformly engaged in your body. Okay? And to the extent that you can really be uniformly engaged in your body, when you're doing Pilates, the choreography, Contrology develops the body uniformly. That's how you're doing it, uniformly. And you're after doing it as uniformly as you can. And that's a matter of creating tension between endpoints. And an endpoint is an end of an axis. And an axis is created by the rotation around which it occurs. I mean, it's a chicken and egg thing, but when we as human beings create rotation at our hips, but the rotational dynamic, to whatever extent it's happening, it defines an axis. And it's around that axis that we seek control. It's around that axis that organically, in our nature, we are involuting and have a grip here at the hips. So if that's a real step out of common knowledge into some place beyond what you're used to, I'm willing to recognize that. So here in MMP, the core is a grip, and that's an involution of muscularity. Just like your fingers curling to make a grip, that's what your hips are seeking to do at your hips, your pelvis. That's what your muscles, that's what your body, that's what your organism's capability is seeking to do, is maintain a rotational grip here. And that is your core, and your core is a grip, according to MMP. And if the subjectivity of things finds even recognizing the biomechanical fact of rotational dynamic at the hips, recognizing that rotational points exist elsewhere in the body and that they're connected, and that in their connection is the pursuit of mobility, being able to move, being able to swim like a fish through an ocean of air, to the extent that you can optimally engage your muscles uniformly. You're as light as you can be in the space that you're in, and the gravity field that you're in, which I think is totally incredible, because to the extent that you take on the characteristics of gravity in that it's a uniform field, you diminish the challenges of existing within it, especially being a water balloon walking around on a planet, heavy, in air. How do you bear that load? So according to attention, that's my claim to fame as a theory, and there's no data yet. But my ending part is my beginning part, because when I came through my notes, I realized my ending is what I wanted to start with, and that is the single word aim. Aim is a verb And it requires participation, wouldn't you say? I mean, you can say you weren't aiming, okay? But if you're aiming, then you're saying somehow you're seeking to hit a target. Know that your target is, alright, so there I go, looking for something, and when I can't find it, it's usually directly underneath me, but not today. I wanted to show fluorescence. And now I'm saying, well, why can that be so hard to find that prop? Because it's such a big part of, I don't know how talking heads on TV just stay right there, and they'll stay right there, and they'll be listening to the conversation, and they'll just be right there, and they'll have, 30 seconds, maybe a minute to say something, and that might be it for that whole hour. That's being very present and not needing anything in terms of a prop that, see, in Terminator movies, when the robot is looking out and it's finding shapes and then trying to attach detail to the shapes, and my lamp is right down there, and yet for some reason my scan wasn't capturing the shape, or it didn't stand out. What are you aiming for? You're aiming for uniform engagement in your musculature. And in your body, the biomechanics of oppositional rotation between axes kicks butt. It's just a theory, but it's one that you can get into and find sensation in, so that you can decide for yourself if there's anything to it or not. Sensationally. And then MMP is just one point of view out of yours, mine, and everybody else's. But it's not based on folklore, it's based on theory, and as such offers all that theories of any kind are good for. And limited to. But the theory presumes to explain an experience. So it's built on a presumption that Pilates is an experience. And so no matter how old you are or how you're moving, the experience that you're after is a coordination of your being, thinking, and observing. And that the observing is offering simultaneous feedback to the moving, and the thinking is not only idealizing the effort in the moving, but coordinated with the feedback that's coming off of the moving in reaching for the effort. Syncopation of capacities. It's not complicated. It's essential. It's not esoteric, it's exoteric. So, know what you're aiming for in your own movement, and you're helping others move. And it will show up in their capacities of moving and moving. Blah, blah. So listen, just a few more days and Life can't live forever. Read between the lines, see behind the curtain, connect the dots. Evaluate points of view. And then make an offer and know how to add 2 and 2. If you want to practice with me making an offer, I'll do that for $10 for 40 minutes. $10, 40 minutes. Paid in advance. The means maybe. So that's what I'm missing sometimes. If the offer is good for 2 hours, it has to be paid up front. And you can do that how do you accomplish the exchange of value in making an offer? Know how to make an offer. And the best way to know how to make an offer is to send an invoice. So if you have somebody's email and they're talking about something, send them an invoice from PayPal. That allows them to react to a structure that you provide. I should do a workshop or a thing just on trying to monetize your effort. Not that I'm any good at it, but there are so many ways that people are pursuing it. Most notably by setting up an automated delivery of videos that offer to sell other videos at a cascading price point until they deliver what you already gave your credit card for, which was $5.90, but you see this cascading, for normally for this much and now only this much, and then you say no to that now for this much and for this much. If I had another life to live and we're starting now, I would get into that. Delivering your video clips by a tiered structure of completing a sale. That may be more for you, Christy, than for Ellen, but you two represent a broad spectrum. All right. Yes, aim. So know what you're aiming for. And to know what you're aiming for, you have to know why you're aiming. And when it comes to core nutention, what you're aiming for is uniform engagement of your body to distribute the load of your body. Let's see if I can go say that again on Facebook. Because you never know. Life can't live forever. Read between the lines, see behind the curtain, connect the dots, evaluate points of view, and then make an offer. And then I got off into making an offer. Add 2 and 2, right? Direct your thinking. Direct your thinking. And then, of course, Geist.